Hey, Midnight Sun here. We're going to be leveling up 1 to 70 this time without the cache. So this method is going to require a Necromancer or a Witch Doctor, and in preference, the Necromancer is going to be the one that's going to do it the easiest. And then it has to be on Torment 1 difficulty. Now, when I say have to or has to, you can obviously do this on a lower difficulty. However, it's going to be much longer and more time consuming. So if you aren't able to do it on Torment 1, then this method I'm about to show you will not work. Now with this season, there is a little bit of workaround in the fact that you could just go ahead and rush some of the bosses in the game and try and do the bosses to get the gem that you need to get to 18. Once you have it 18, then you're completely fine with just leveling up normal by sacrificing the gem at the altar there. However, you will be lacking a lot of gold, so this method also gives you some gold to level up the blacksmith and just make this process a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and go into New Tristram here, and I do have a timer that I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'll start it as soon as I get to the bounty that I need. So we're going to start out by going over to the Scoundrel and taking his bow, and then we're going to hire the Templar, and we're going to take his weapon, put it on us, and take his shield. And then we're going to scrap it over here at the blacksmith. And this allows us to get enough reusable parts to unlock the first node of the altar. So we can go over to the altar and get the first node when the season starts. Next, immediately after doing that, we're going to look for the Kill Zoltan Kuhl bounty in Act 2. So we don't have it this time. So we're going to reset the game and come back in and try and get the bounty. Now this can be extremely time consuming or it can be very fast. Maybe the first bounty right away is Zoltan Kuhl. However, in my experience, it's never the first bounty and it always takes forever. Now, this can be done with Magda as well. However, Magda is going to be a little bit more challenging just in the way that the bounties work. So I like to do Zoltan Kuhl. So if I don't get it this next reset, then I'll cut to where we actually end up getting Zoltan Kuhl. So that you won't have to watch me reset this over and over again. All right, we got the Zoltan Kuhl bounty. Next, we're going to take a peek at each of these areas, and we're going to snapshot the enemies around here. Anytime we go to an area, if it requires you to go to another area, so this one's the Vile Cavern, we would typically try and make our way to it. That's a little bit far away from the start here, so we can't go to that one. Next, we're going to do this one here. This one's going to be fine. We don't got to worry about entering a new area here. What do we got down here? Okay. That's another area that's a little bit too far away, so we can't really do anything about it. And then this area is incredibly dangerous, so watch out for that. And then we can go ahead and start the boss. Now, one other thing you can do, instead of going straight to Zoltan Kuhl here, if you're on hardcore and you want a bit of a boost, is to go to Gardens of Hope first tier. And I would only recommend doing this if you're confident, but you can go around here to the weapon racks if they have it and grab another weapon or item. And if it's matched to the Templar, you can give it to the Templar so you can do some damage. And then you're just going to go to this well here and click it. It's going to give you a random blessing and then head straight back. Now, if you're worried about teleporting out, don't. As long as you can make it to this here, you can instant teleport. So I just click on it, click any random area, and then I'm good and safe. I'll go back to Zoltan Kuhl here. So that was a 4.5 damage axe here. So I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Templar. Now he'll contribute a little bit of damage since we took his weapon there. And then we're going to go ahead and try and kill Zoltan Kuhl. Now again, if this is a hardcore run, then you cannot die here whatsoever. I mean, obviously it's hardcore, but if you do die, then you're going to have to restart this whole process over and over again until it works. So this is much more softcore friendly. I would recommend practicing this because as long as you get to 1 to 18, then even if you die on a hardcore character, you can start a new one and pick up right where you left off, no problem. Now here, we only want to kill one of these guys, and we want to kill him when Zoltan Kuhl is right next to us to use the leveling explosion. So like right there, we are ready to kill him, but we want to wait until Zoltan Kuhl is right there, and then we can use that level up explosion to do some damage to him. Now keep in mind that Zoltan Kuhl tends to get very angry when he's on like 2% health and throw a bunch of stuff at you, which is going to cause you to die more than likely. So watch out for that. And this is a lot harder to do on console, I've noticed, because I have tried this leveling method on console. And again, I'm not sure what's the cause or what's the reason, but he just gets crazy right about here usually and goes with some double attacks. So keep that in mind. We should be fine here. There we go. And hopefully in the season he drops us a soul shard. If he drops us a soul shard right away, we can either salvage it or continue along with our method. You could salvage it and get lucky and get a diamond, in which case you're done and you don't got to worry about it. However, if you salvage it and there is no diamond, then you could sell the diamond sell the gem depending on what it is and use that money to upgrade your blacksmith, or save it obviously for if it's a ruby to put in a helmet for some faster leveling. Now here we're going to go ahead and go straight to these areas, choosing the hardest ones first. So this area is pretty hard here, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this area. And I'm also going to double check my items for any more toughness. Looks like I got everything on that I need. So we're going to go ahead and complete this wagon event. Now you can see that the enemies look really easy. That's because we snapshotted them. So they aren't actually the same level as me here. And again, we're going to want to pick up as many items as we can. I try to leave some of these corpses on the ground too, just in case I run into a difficult enemy or an elite. So like these enemies right here, very annoying. And if I ever need to run back, I can run back in the same direction I came and drag these enemies along with me to a corpse to blow them up like that. So there, that's one of those enemies I was worried about. He's a waller. Wallers are not good. Alright. This guy might kill me here. I'm gonna try and do my best to stay alive, but again, I doubt it because the waller is just the worst affix possible. And I don't have my Templar's healing on me either. So what I'm gonna try and do here is drag these guys to some more enemies and utilize these enemies' corpses to kill them if there's any enemies in this game whatsoever. Getting it close. Wow, that was intense. So we see why this can be very difficult on hardcore. That was almost an immediate death sentence for us. The Waller is just going to be the worst nightmare that you could possibly have here. So next we're going to put on that healing skill on the Templar. Double check again our items. And then we're going to go on to the next area here. And these areas that have these caves are going to be significantly more difficult than the next area. So now we want to go to somewhere easier. And again, it's hard to tell what it is. If you've done these bounties a lot, then you know, just based on the repetition of the bounties. So this one should be a lot easier for us. I'm guessing this guy's going to die in a single hit. Couple hits. And even these elites shouldn't be too much work for us, again, because we snapshotted them earlier. So they're stuck on that lower level. We got some gloves, that's great. Try and click on any bodies you see nearby, any chests, again, anything that can give us a little bit more vitality or damage. We're going to try and drag a lot of these corpses with us with Corpse Explosion here. And again, I want to try and kill as many easy enemies as I can. Once we hit level 11, we're going to utilize a different method here, which is going to be utilizing the Enchantress's weapon. So if at any point, if you talk to the Enchantress, then this run is going to not work. So we want to make sure that we avoid talking to her until we are level 11. Alright. So again, I want to drag this enemy over here with the corpses and utilize most of those corpses to do damage to it. Alright, you're the last guy. Okay, we're at level 9. So now between these two things here, we need to gain 2 levels. And at any point here, if I'm on the way and I find myself going to a cavern or cave and it feels a little sketchy, like I'm not sure if I'll be able to survive or make it through, then I'm going to teleport to the next bounty and test that one out, because it'll still snapshot the enemies there at level 9 now. So if I'm going through this area, enemies are too tough, I'll leave, try the other area, maybe gain a level or two, then come back and these enemies will still be level 9. So we have to kill quite a lot here. So the 100 enemies should be enough to level me up to level 11. Again, I'm trying not to use Corpse Explosion unless I have to, because I want to save them for some tough enemies. Or a huge clump of them like this right here. I could circle around and gather some up. Alright, how are we looking? Okay. So I might have to come back to this area. I'm not sure yet. I don't believe the snapshot will reach all the way over here. So keep that in mind, that these enemies may be a lot tougher. A little bit better of an item there, so we're going to equip it. We're getting really lucky with these shrines here as well. That would just reset our protection shrine. Alright, another Waller. We're going to get rid of anything that's Waller as soon as possible. This guy doesn't look too difficult. I'm just playing it a little safe while looking for some more enemies to drag his way. It's another cloth, tunic. That gives us a little bit more recovery. And now we need about 55 enemies. Hopefully we can find them here. It's pretty scarce. Or scarce, or however you pronounce that. One thing that I've noticed in Diablo 3 is some of these areas are so densely packed, and it'll give you something like, you know, kill 100 enemies, and you can get it done absolutely no time at all. And then other areas will be like kill 150 enemies, and you have to search the entire map just to struggle to get those 150 enemies. So I don't know why that you get huge swaths of area like this and have absolutely no enemies nearby. It's just rather frustrating. So I did mention that I might need to go back to that other area. So what I'm going to do is just teleport back towards the beginning, because I believe that's faster than going this entire distance back and walking. And then I'm just going to zig around this area over here and see if I can get the extra, what is it, 25 enemies that I need. Templar's got a new skill, so we're going to throw that on. And we've got more skills as well, so we can throw those on our character as well. Because if we don't take advantage of that, that would be foolish. Right. Enemies finally. And I'm sure people who know these maps really well can tell me where like a giant cluster of enemies are, but I'm not as familiar with this area. Got some elites here. Ten more enemies. Gotta be around here somewhere. There they are. Alright. So that was all the enemies for this area, and we are just shy of level 11, so this should work out perfect. And we'll finish off the rest of the bounties with level 11, and stealing the Enchantress's weapon. So this is where we want to be the most cautious. It's always when you're right about to finish that it's going to be something coming up or getting in the way. Alright. Okay, we're close to the cave. There's some of those elites.
I need essence. You will make a
And let's go ahead and go through the cave here. Now again, all of the enemies are going to be level 11 now, or at level 10 now. So I'm going to come back out and try and level up the rest of the way here with a few of these enemies nearby, which I should be able to do no problem. Okay, there's level 11. We do have a well down there, so we would get this in the season, although it's not too much of a help for us right now. And I'm going to go through the cave and then go back to town and get the Enchantress's weapon. Now again, this works for the Witch Doctor as well if you're trying to follow along. Now typically, the Witch Doctor is going to have a little bit more of a struggle doing this than the Necromancer because Corpse Explosion is such a valuable skill and you've got a good chunk of minions here. So we're going to talk to her and take this weapon right here and put it on our character. And then again, we'll just run through our items. Nothing that seems to be better. And I'm not sure what happened with my portal here. There's a reason why it does that, and I cannot for the life of me remember or totally figure out how. I'll have to walk through this area again. I'll just cut out to the start of the cave. Okay, we're at the cave entrance here. Now, anytime you're in a cave doing this, you have to be very cautious of rock worms and these spitting things on the side here. And especially if it says level 2, because that means you have to run through a whole secondary area where, again, they will level up to your level. So even if you snapshotted the level 1 area, level 2 is going to make it so you can't snapshot it. So that's a bit of a bummer. And again, try and keep moving. Pay attention to the ground for those worms, because if they get you, they can kill you in one hit if you don't have enough of your vitality stacked, or if you accidentally gain too many levels. So cursed chests, for example, if you do a cursed chest with a Necromancer, you should stack up a very large Massacre pretty easy. And the Massacre is going to level you up to, like, you know, sometimes 15, 16, or 17, which is going to make all the enemies 15, 16, 17. And it's going to be incredibly challenging. So now we have to kill all the enemies in this area here. I think those count as an enemy. Maybe not, but try it out anyway. You can see with the damage on this weapon that we have here, it's just going to be fairly easy getting everything taken out here. Now again, cautious around any elites whatsoever. And wow, another shrine. How many is that in this video? 6, 7? Alright, some elites there. These guys can kill us, especially those bugs. And those explosions. If there's an elite that pulls you into those explosions, that's going to be a nightmare. Gained a level here. We got 2 more enemies after this bug to defeat. Probably down this way. Alright, that's a worm in the ground, so again, be careful. He pops out, he could one-shot you. There we go. So we're level 13 here. And now we get to do our Torment 1 bounties. And the reason that we do the Torment 1 is because you get a death breath from turning in this bounty and a large amount of gold. So let's see what we get here. Level 14 now. Alright, so we get 160,000 gold, 30 blood shards, 15 reusable parts, 8 field crystals, 22 arcane dust, 6 Chaldean nightshades, and then of course that death breath right there.
There is no room.
Oh, I guess I'm stacked on blood shards. Interesting. And just spend
Don't be shy.
a little bit here.
It's a good paperweight.
Get rid of that.
There is no room.
Oh, I'm way overstacked on blood shards. Didn't realize that. Hold on a minute.
I've seen better.
Actually, I should be doing amulets.
I didn't even know I had that.
There you go. All right, let's get rid of all of this. Okay. So now we're at the point where we're relatively safe. We could go over here and train up the blacksmith. That one death breath is going to be saved for the rank 12 on here once we get enough gold. That 130-ish thousand gold or so should level you up to about blacksmith level 8, which means we would be able to equip level 8 items from that. Now at this point, it's going to be the exact same as the other guides, which is getting to level 18. Now we're on Torment 1 here, which is very threatening and scary, and I could show you what it would look like if we just go to Temple of the Firstborn. Now, if you're confident, you could, again, snapshot these enemies. So before we went through and did all of those other bounties, you could come here and snapshot them at level 1 or even level 5 or 6, depending on, you know, what level you're at. So we could see that we could still take out a decent amount of these bugs here on Torment 1 difficulty with the corpse explosion. However, if we're going to run into some elites like that, then it's going to be pretty difficult, so you want to drag them back towards those corpses and try and do as much damage as possible to them. I just need one more enemy here. Okay, so that 100 massacre bonus should help us out with some leveling here. And I would have double the reward for this as well in the season. So let's see what that gets us at. That would be 16. So we would probably be at 18 right there alone with the double the massacre bonus that we would get from the altar. We'd also have an easier time making it to the next area there. So I'm going to put on another skill on my Templar here. Try and stay alive. And I'm also going to put on that corpse explosion skill there. Put on command golem now as well. We could also switch this over to stand alone. We getting, yeah, we got our cursed chests here. So this would get us the rest of the way to level 18. And again, if we were running through an area like this and you get a cursed chest in those objectives that you have to complete for the 1 to 5 bounties, then what I would recommend doing is not actually completing the cursed chest, just starting it and then abandoning the area here if it has like the kill 100 enemies. If it's kill 5 enemies or elite enemies, you have to do it, otherwise it won't complete the cursed chest event. If it's the 5 rounds of enemies or something like that, or the elites one, same thing. So some of these you have to do. Do your best not to build up a massacre though. Kind of dip in and out of the area because you don't want to over level. All right. So we're level 18 now. At this point, again, we would run through and we would do some bosses that drop the bounty caches on there so you can get the diamonds that you would need. So we're going to go ahead and leave and create a new game. And this time we're going to drop the difficulty down to normal. So during this entire time, I did not die. So this would be the same if you were on hardcore. You could run this as well. Now, the reason that I am not doing a hardcore run is because in my attempts to do a hardcore run, I only had 2 out of 4 successful cases of running through with a hardcore character. So very high chance that you could die doing this method on hardcore. Now, if you're an amazing hardcore player and you're feeling confident, go ahead and attempt this. You could try it out. Nothing much to it. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm switching all over the place. Nothing much to it other than just snapshotting the enemies and zipping in and out of the levels there and trying to go back to town if you feel like you're about to die. So we got the Magda bounty, and we're hoping she's going to drop 2 diamonds. And I can also put on my flesh golem. And for my third option here, I could also put on a summon mage, which will leave a corpse behind as well, just to boost that. But we're not going to do that this time because I feel pretty confident that it's not really needed. There's a couple elites here, which is interesting and ones I would typically want to kill just for the items. But that would level us up a little bit too much, and once you get leveled up, too much, it gets harder and harder to do these bosses here. All right, let's go do Magda. And we're just going to throw down our golem right next to Magda here. And then we're going to start exploding. Save a couple corpses for when those enemies show up, and then you can spam some more there. So we're hoping for 2 diamonds here again. Let's see, there's 1 diamond. So we would have to do this one more time for the second diamond. Hopefully anyways, as long as it drops. Now again, if it drops a soul shard, you can try and scrap that and get a diamond that way. So we'll pretend at this point that we've gotten the second diamond. And the next thing that we're going to do here is go over to our weapons. Now, I want to show you guys something here. If you look at the secondary affixes on the weapons here, it says plus 37 life after each kill, and monster kills grant 11 experience. So if we go over to here and enchant a low level item here, you don't see anything else other than this chance to fear, stun, blind, freeze, and experience. But if you get a high enough weapon, then you can get chance to reduce level requirement to equip the item. Now at this point we have the second thing on the altar unlocked, so you don't really need that. But if for whatever reason you are leveling up and you don't want to utilize the altar for practice here, then what you can do is go to a 2-handed axe here. And I believe it's going to be this one right here, the Glorious Fell Axe, which is a level 54 item. Possibly even the level 50 item. So whichever of the 2 here you want to go with, depending on how much you want to grind your levels. And then you're going to want a level 70 item here, which is a Sovereign one. We see that we have a lock on them here. Now let's go with this 2-handed one here and look at the chance to slow on hits. This is the secondary one, level requirement reduced by 2 to 10. So we can go here and try and roll this into a reduced requirement thing here. Let's see what we get here. And obviously you're looking for a higher one. Sometimes you get this right off the bat. Sometimes it takes forever. And then there we go. Level requirement reduced by 10. So when we do this, this is going to be required level 44 now. So I can put this in my inventory, and this would be a level 50 item, which I could equip at, or level 54 item, I could equip at level 44. If we put this one in and we check it out, we can see that it can get reduced up to 30. So we're going to try that again. By 20, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher on there. Again, one lower. 29, that's almost perfect. Now this one's required level 41. So you can see that even if you have this lower level item and you reduce it by 10, that's max that you can reduce here. You could probably go up for a higher item like the 2-handed axe at level 70 and get it reduced to 41. Again, that was a lot of materials, but this means at the very least at level 41, we can equip that 2-handed axe that we would want there. Now, again, we would want to practice this out, and I would say that you could go down for a level 30 item right here, 29 item, craft that, and that's way more damage and toughness. All right, and this one does not give you any chance to reduce items by. So this one we could equip at 29. So I would keep that in my inventory until I hit level 29. And then I'm just going to be leveling up the same as I usually do. Now at this point, I can increase the difficulty a little bit at level 19 to speed this up. So I would go over here to probably master difficulty. Go back to the Temple of the Firstborn. And I'm just going to double check my skills here. I want that Skeletal Mage. I want that one on there. And I'll be getting another passive here in a minute. That's not good. Alright, so we're still doing alright here on the Necromancer. Still leveling relatively easy. Now again, keep in mind, we would still probably be keeping our Massacre because we would get double the time it takes for it to expire and double the bonus.
You will make a fine corpse.
Alright. So we're still doing alright here on Master difficulty. It's nothing too dangerous. I would say that if you get slightly overwhelmed, you're probably going to die here. But keeping in mind that we would definitely have some better items boosting us with the items have no level requirements, and we would be able to craft a certain amount of gear on us. I'm choosing to do it without that and just the starting item to show you that it can be done even at a lower quality gear item or level. Also showing off the Necromancer's power here. Alright, level 20. So we got another item for the Templar there. Or skill for the Templar there. And we need to get to 29 to be able to equip something a little bit better than what we currently have. So that's going to be the gist of the method here for leveling up. Now, I would still recommend you do the season journey on the Necromancer if you're leveling up without the cash, because it's going to be so much faster. Now, after you have the items have no level requirements and you've leveled up your blacksmith a bit to at least level 8, you can choose to do it on the class that you're most comfortable with. So you can then leave the game. If it's a hardcore character, you can create another hardcore character, start over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. You will continue to make progress because the blacksmith has leveled up and because you can still get items and farm for items. So we could switch over to something else here, like any of these leveling classes that I did before. And we could say, okay, well, let's do this on the barb and start a level 1 barb and then do the 1 to 70 that way. So I hope you enjoy this. I don't know what method I'm going to be using for this season yet. I'm going to practice this one a couple more times until I'm feeling really confident on it. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.